The woman's voice cut through the convention center like a fire alarm, her bedazzled, boy mom squad, tank top glittering under the fluorescent lights as she pointed a rhinestone-encrusted fingernail at the pristine action figure in my hands. Meanwhile, I stood there in the middle of Collector Con Dallas, holding what I'd driven 6 hours to acquire, a mint condition, still sealed 1995 Cyber Sentinel prototype figure, one of only 50 ever produced. My name is Nathan Crawford, and I'm a 38-year-old software engineer who's been collecting action figures for 20 years. This wasn't just any figure. This was the holy grail of my collection, a piece that had taken me 5 years to track down. The seller was asking $4,800, and I'd already negotiated him down to $4,200. I was literally counting out $100 bills when Sharon Peton decided to insert herself into my transaction like a human wrecking ball wearing too much vanilla body spray. It started when her son, who looked about 11 and clearly wanted to be anywhere else, wandered over to look at the vendor's display case. The kid seemed mildly interested in some of the cheaper loose figures on the lower shelves, the kind going for $20 or $30. But Sharon's hawk eyes zeroed in on the Cyber Sentinel in my hands, like a heat-seeking missile locking onto its target. "Excuse me," she said in that artificially sweet voice that immediately made my skin crawl. "My son Tyler really loves those robot toys, and I see you're about to buy one." I politely explained that this was a rare prototype figure, extremely valuable and definitely not a toy for playing with. She laughed, actually laughed, and said, "Don't be ridiculous. It's a toy. It says ages 8 and up right on the package. My Tyler is 12, so he's perfectly old enough for it." I tried explaining that this was a collector's item worth thousands of dollars, but she waved her hand dismissively. "That's just scalper talk. These things retail for what? $20. I'll give you $40 for it right now. That's double your money." The vendor, an older gentleman named Frank, who'd been selling at conventions for decades, tried to intervene. "Ma'am, this is a specialized collector's market. That particular item is extremely rare." Sharon rounded on him with the fury of 1,000 suns. "Oh, so you're in on this scam, too? Price gouging parents who just want to make their children happy. This is probably illegal. I know people at the Better Business Bureau." Tyler, meanwhile, had wandered off to look at comic books, completely uninterested in our conversation. When I continued with my purchase, counting out the $4,200 in bills, Sharon's voice went up 3 octaves. "You're seriously going to pay $4,000 for a toy? That's insane. That's child abuse. You're stealing toys from children." The irony of her calling me a thief while trying to manipulate me into giving up my property wasn't lost on me. Other convention-goers were starting to stare, some pulling out their phones to record the unfolding drama. "Tyler, get over here," she barked, and the poor kid trudged over, clearly embarrassed. "This man is buying the toy you wanted, the one you've been dreaming about." Tyler looked confused and said, "Mom, I don't even know what that is. Can we just go to the food court?" Sharon's face turned an alarming shade of purple. "Don't be ungrateful. Mommy's trying to get you something special." She turned back to me with renewed determination. "You hear that? You're crushing a child's dreams. How do you sleep at night?" I completed my transaction with Frank, carefully placing the figure in the protective case I'd brought specifically for transport. That's when Sharon completely lost her mind. She grabbed my arm as I was putting the figure in my backpack, her acrylic nails digging into my skin. "You're not leaving with that. It belongs to my son. I'll pay you the retail price. $20. That's fair." I pulled away, but she followed me, shouting loud enough for the entire convention to hear. "Thief! This man is stealing from a child. Someone stop him." Security arrived within seconds, 2 burly guys who looked like they'd seen their share of convention drama. Sharon immediately started her sob story about how I'd snatched the toy right out of her son's hands, how I'd pushed him aside to get it, how I was probably a predator who hung around toy sections to prey on children. The accusations got wilder and more unhinged with each passing second. Tyler stood there looking mortified, muttering, "Mom, please stop," under his breath. Frank stepped forward with the receipt and his vendor license. "Officers, I can clear this up. This gentleman just purchased a legitimate collectible from my booth. This woman was not involved in the transaction and has been harassing both of us." Sharon shrieked that we were conspirators, that we were running an illegal price-fixing scheme, that she was going to call the news, the police, the mayor, the president if she had to. Then she did it. She actually pulled out her phone and dialed 911. "Hello, police. I'm at the Dallas Convention Center, and there's a man here stealing toys from children. He assaulted my son, and the security guards are protecting him. I fear for my safety." The security guard's expressions went from annoyed to angry. Filing a false police report is a serious crime, and she'd just done it in front of multiple witnesses with cameras rolling. While she was on the phone spinning her tale of persecution and child endangerment, Tyler approached me quietly. "I'm really sorry about my mom. She does this everywhere we go. Last week, she tried to get a free PlayStation 5 by claiming the store discriminated against single mothers. I felt bad for the kid." Sharon, still on with 911, was now describing me as 6 feet 4 inches, 300 pounds, aggressive, and unstable. "I'm 5 feet 10 inches and weigh 170, and the most aggressive thing I'd done was refuse to be bullied." The actual Dallas police arrived about 10 minutes later, and Sharon immediately threw herself at them like they were her personal army. "Thank God you're here. This man assaulted my child and stole his toy. Everyone here saw it. They're all in on it." The officers looked skeptical, especially when they saw Tyler standing calmly next to me, showing me pictures of his actual collection on his phone. Turns out the kid collected Pokemon cards, not action figures, and had zero interest in Cyber Sentinel. One of the officers, Officer Chen, was actually familiar with convention culture and understood the collector's market. When Sharon claimed the figure was worth $20, he asked to see the receipt. $4,200. His eyebrows went up. "Ma'am, you're telling me this gentleman stole a $4,000 item from your son? Did your son pay for it? Do you have a receipt?" Sharon sputtered and stammered, her story falling apart like wet tissue paper. The security guards provided their body cam footage, which showed Sharon grabbing me, not the other way around. Several convention attendees offered their phone videos as evidence. The most damning piece was when Tyler himself told the officers, "I never wanted that toy. I don't even like Cyber Sentinel. My mom just freaked out when she saw how much it cost." Sharon tried to shush him, but the damage was done. Officer Chen looked at Sharon sternly. "Ma'am, you filed a false police report, committed assault, and attempted theft. The value of the item makes this attempted grand theft." Sharon's face went from purple to white in about 2 seconds. But I'm a mother. I was just trying to." Her voice trailed off as she realized the magnitude of her situation. Frank decided to pile on. "She also slandered my business, accused me of running an illegal operation, and threatened to report me to various agencies without cause. I'm considering filing charges for defamation and harassment." The other vendors nearby chimed in, mentioning that they'd witnessed everything and would be happy to provide statements. Sharon was surrounded by a wall of evidence that completely contradicted her story. The convention's management arrived and informed Sharon that she was permanently banned from all future events at the venue. They also mentioned that her behavior had been captured on the convention center's security system and would be shared with other venues in their network. She was effectively blacklisted from every major convention in Texas and surrounding states. But the real catastrophe for Sharon came when someone in the crowd recognized her. "Hey, aren't you that real estate agent from the viral video last month? The one who tried to get a Starbucks barista fired for not accepting expired coupons?" Phones came out again, and within minutes, Sharon Peton was trending on social media for the second time in 30 days. The hashtag #ConKaren was born, and the memes were already being created before the police had even finished taking statements. Sharon tried one last desperate play. "I have a heart condition. I need my medication. This stress is giving me chest pains." The officers called an ambulance, which arrived to find her vitals completely normal. The paramedics were not amused by the false medical emergency, adding another potential charge to her growing list. Tyler, thoroughly humiliated, asked if he could call his dad to pick him up. Turned out his parents were divorced, and this wasn't the first time his mom had caused a public scene. As the officers were preparing to take Sharon into custody, her phone rang. She answered it on speaker, probably hoping for a lifeline. It was her broker. "Sharon, I'm calling to inform you that Platinum Realty is terminating your contract effective immediately. The convention incident is already online, and combined with last month's Starbucks situation, you've become a liability to our brand." Sharon started sobbing hysterically, begging for another chance. But the broker had already hung up. The final twist came when someone from the crowd mentioned that they were a paralegal at a firm that specialized in defamation cases. They handed me their card and suggested I might have grounds for a civil suit, given that Sharon had publicly accused me of assault, theft, and implied predatory behavior, all captured on multiple videos. The potential damages, considering the false accusations and the assault, could be substantial. Sharon was ultimately charged with assault, attempted grand theft, filing a false police report, and misuse of emergency services. The judge, after reviewing the extensive video evidence and witness testimonies, wasn't sympathetic to her "I'm just a mother trying to protect my child" defense. She was sentenced to 1 year probation, 500 hours of community service, specifically at children's charities to learn appropriate behavior, and ordered to pay $3,000 in fines, plus my legal fees of $4,500. But the real devastation came from the civil suit. After her false accusations of predatory behavior were broadcast across social media, my attorney successfully argued defamation per se. The jury awarded me $65,000 in damages. Combined with the loss of her real estate license, which the Texas Real Estate Commission revoked after reviewing the criminal charges and multiple complaints from clients who came forward after seeing the news coverage, Sharon's entitled meltdown over a toy had cost her everything: her career, her reputation, and $72,500 in combined criminal fines and civil damages.